Hello, my name is Ethan Leitner, and today I'm going to be talking about the deadlift exercise. I'm going to be first getting into a variety of different aspects of this exercise, including the muscle groups that are targeted, as well as some safety measures to look out for. And then at the end of this video, I'll get into a demonstration on me, getting out in the weight room and performing this deadlift. So this exercise is well known with a ton of benefits. The purpose of it is to strengthen your hip and thigh area, and a variety of different muscle groups are involved in doing so. This includes the rectus femoris, the gluteus maximus, the semimembranosus, the semitendinous, the vastus lateralis, the vastus medialis, vastus intermedius, and the biceps femoris. In terms of how to properly perform this exercises, it's kind of split up into three different areas: the starting position, the upward movement phase, and then the downward movement phase. So you first want to position your feet flat between hip and shoulder width apart with your toes slightly pointed outward. You then should squat down with your hips lower than your shoulders. Your hand should be positioned slightly wider than shoulder width apart with a pronated grip, unless the weight is too heavy. In that case, you should switch to an closed alternated grip. So the bar should be placed roughly an inch in front of your shins and over the balls of your feet. Before starting the exercise, you want to make sure that you're positioned correctly as well. To do so, you should do a variety of different things, including making sure your elbows are fully extended, heels are in contact with the floor, your scapulae is retracted and depressed, eyes are focused straight ahead or slightly upward, your chest is held up and out, your shoulders are over or slightly in front of the bar, your back is slightly arched or neutral, and your head is slightly hyperextended or in line with the vertebral column. So once you have checked off all these boxes and you're in the correct starting position, you can start to go into the upward movement phase. You first want to start by extending your hips and knees to lift the bar off the floor until your body reaches a torso position. While performing this upward movement, make sure that you keep the torso angle constant, basically meaning don't let the hips rise before the shoulders. You also want to maintain a neutral spine position and your elbows are fully extended. So when you grip the bar, you want to have them like this. You want to keep the bar as close to your shins as possible, and when the bar rises above the knees, extend the hips to keep the bar close to the body as well as your shoulders over the bar. After your body reaches a torso position, allow your hips and knees to flex in order to slowly lower the bar to the floor, all while maintaining the neutral spine position. So one kind of benefit to this exercise is the fact that it doesn't really require a spotter, which is nice because spotters can sometimes be a hassle to find, and they also have like responsibilities and exercises too, and if they get things wrong, that can cause a whole variety of different problems. However, there still are a lot of safety measures that you need to keep in track. You want to make sure you're using the correct amount of weight, being aware of your surroundings, and taking care of the weight added properly. Some common areas that people might experience when performing this exercise for the first time are, adding too much weight, which can potentially be a safety hazard, and not maintaining a neutral spine position. So these two can be related to one another because adding too much weight to your deadlift can, make it a lot harder to maintain that, neutral spine position with your chest out and, everything, looking good and in proper form. This is something that I personally struggle with deadlift. It's been a hard exercise for me because I feel like sometimes I would put on too much weight at first, and I just really have struggled with keeping my spine up and in the correct position, and I often would hunch over and with my shoulders too much up, and which isn't the proper way to do it. So you can avoid obviously putting on too much weight by just starting off slowly, making sure that you have the proper form down, and then don't make the mistake that I did where I had too much weight at first and that caused a bunch of different problems. Actually even caused some lower back pain, so which is not good. You can maintain a neutral spine position by correcting your cervical, thoracic, and lumbar curves and making sure that they're in good alignment while doing so. Another way that you can keep this good posture is just thinking of, like I said, your chest out, and just like think about, maintaining good posture, almost sitting like upright. So one regression or way that this exercise can be done easier is through the use of dumbbells. You can simply perform this by, instead of using a bar during deadlift, you can take one dumbbell in each hand and just kind of, it's basically the same motion that I, explained earlier. You just sort of have dumbbells in there. So one progression of the deadlift, which basically means how to make it harder, is obviously by adding more weight. But in doing so, like I said, you want to make sure that you have that proper form down, because if you don't, it can lead to a variety of different problems. So, overall, when performed correctly, this exercise can be very beneficial. Now let's hit the weight room and let's get our deadlift on.
Now that I've gone over everything with deadlift, it's time to get in how to properly do this. So now I'm gonna be performing this and demonstrating the exercise. So once I gotta get my starting position good first, and from there I can go into my upward movement phase and then my downward movement phase. And we're gonna do it correctly, just like I stated previously in the video. So let's get it. Now that I got my correct form down, I'm feeling good, I'm ready to go. I'm confident that I can add a little bit more weight. So now let's do the same exercise, same deadlift, proper form, everything, but with a little bit of weight added on there. So let's get into it. One way to make the deadlift workout easier is to take some dumbbells and do it that way. Everything stays the same, basically just take some dumbbells instead of the bar and you're good to go. So now I'm going to be performing this. So one incorrect way that most beginners that do deadlift, they mess up on is not maintaining that neutral spine position. You want to keep your back straight, keep everything, good posture, keeping that spine neutral. And one common thing, like I said, is people just kind of mess that up. So I'm going to be demonstrating an incorrect way to do this exercise that involves that idea. So here's one common mistake that people have. So one other mistake that you can make, that a lot of beginners make when performing deadlift, is they try to put too much weight on first. It's really important that you get the correct form down before you start adding on mass amounts of weight. So here's an incorrect example of somebody adding on too much weight, and therefore messing up the workout. And sometimes this can mess up that neutral spine position that you have to maintain. Those two can sort of go hand in hand. So I'll just be demonstrating how this can go wrong, which is a typical kind of error with this. Go. So one thing that's kind of nice about this exercise is that it doesn't require spotters. And a spotter can be a hassle sometimes to find, or to just, because they have their own responsibilities too, and if they don't correctly help you and assess you in the right way, that can cause a lot of troubles too. So spotters in general, kind of add on more stress than what already needs to be done to get the workout done correctly. So yeah.
Hey man, you need a spotter?
I'm good, man. I'm straight. I'm good.
Okay, bro. Go do it.
Are you gonna do it? One big mistake, like I've said earlier in this, and my first part of this video was that you want to make sure that you follow the safety measure of keeping in the right amount of weight, and that you're not messing around with that, because the amount of weight on there is crucial. It has to be even on both sides, obviously. But if you are irresponsible in the weight room and something like this ends up happening, then it can lead to a lot of problems, as demonstrated here.
What the frick are you doing, bro?
You also want to make sure that you're aware of your surroundings before you even begin to start the deadlift. Here's one scenario that can go wrong if you don't check your surroundings. Thanks for taking the time out of your guys' day to go on this journey with me, learning more about the deadlift exercise. It can really be a very beneficial exercise that can strengthen a lot of lower leg muscles in the hip and thigh area, like I mentioned earlier. And there's just numerous benefits to it if it's done properly. And I hope I, gave you guys a good guide to how to do it that way. So, yeah, peace out.